Well, there it is. I hope it's working. I always get so nervous when I first push that button that says we're going live. Checking the audio, checking the comments, checking from Los Osos. Hello, Los Osos. Pretty nice to have you from across the bay. Pretty cool there, Lynn. Thanks for joining me today. My name's Rob Appell. If you are here with me, I am very excited. I'm watching my monitor over there across the room and it hasn't kicked on yet, so I'm all of a sudden nervous. But I'm going to pretend like it's going to work anyways, folks. Happy Friday, fun day. This is super exciting. I am back home, and welcome to all of our viewers out there. We now have 62, I got to touch the special button, right? 62,000 plus, almost now 63,000 subscribers. Huge jump in subscribers the last few weeks on our YouTube channel, which is Stitchin Heaven YouTube. Thank you so very much for that. I have a link in the description, so as I often do, and welcome to all of our new guests. We have the chat open. If this is your first time catching a video, I'll be talking about a lot of different things today. It's kind of a weekly recap and mentioning different projects and or products or maybe people or whatnot. So there's always links in the description when I've done my job correctly. And I'm pretty dang excited about that. So let me dive through some of this stuff as I'm welcoming the community. Like I said, 62,000 subscribers, and that's really exciting for me. And I'm going to give most of the attribution to that cool how to get the perfect 1/4 inch video that went out a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, it's an awesome video. If I can pat myself on the back a little bit. Wasn't my idea, of course. It was a couple of ladies that I met hanging out, having dinner in our retreat center out in Quitman, Texas, and they were sharing with me their way. They always do a cool 1/4 inch test. So as they're getting ready to start any new class, any new workshop, anytime a new project, a new machine, any of that kind of stuff. And I thought, hey, how cool is that? So at any rate, that video's up. The link's in the description. We also have a private Facebook group. I can, once again, outdated. We have 2,200 members plus out there. Super exciting. Also loving having everybody join out there. So please consider logging on Facebook and following along. And one of the things I'm trying to do, because I actually have many a social media challenges. That's really what I should say. Many of social media challenges. I was trying to use the word channels there, and I don't do any of them very well, really. And so at any rate, yes, I'm trying to post more and more often, and we're going to talk a little bit about this project. You can kind of see on the wall. I try to get the camera set up so that you can see what I've got up here, my inspiration of the week I've been working on. And you can see the studio's an absolute mess. I didn't even want to clean up. I'm right in the middle of the project. So super fun. I was out in Texas last week. I hope you all got to see this little video. But one of the things I was doing on one of the last days was rearranging some of the quilts, getting ready to shoot some fun quilt advertisements. So I had to hang the quilts back up, and here this happened. Pat wants me to make a video about the things I do for Stitchin Heaven. So at the moment, I'm standing on the top of the kit wall, getting ready to hang a quilt. I'm standing very, very closely against the top of the kit wall. And yes, I checked it out earlier. I couldn't get the big quilt up over the front door. We usually use the scissor lift, and I thought I could go to the top of the ladder. And no, sir, my firefighting skills are a thing of the past. It's a nice view from up here, Pat.
It looks cool when you're looking at the store from a different angle.
Oh yeah, the quilts look awesome.
It's a beautiful store. It's beautiful
Right,
laid out.
right.
Great stuff. We all work very hard to make it that way.
Okay, now that's better. Walls all redecorated. To the ladder I go. I'm back to ground level. I'm getting a little warm up here. Time for a coffee break. All right, and hey, I also like to put these little videos up. It gives me a moment to check the comments because I'm not really reading the comments while I'm trying to present. So Andrew, am I having tech problems? I see that you said something about tech problems and tech gremlins. As far as I know, everything's going swell. So please, Andrew, let me know if I'm having tech problems. Of course, don't text me because that's the phone we're using right now, but I'll watch for that. Yeah, I was nervous hanging out on the wall as well, Nancy. I didn't realize how nervous I was until I looked at it on the camera later. So I'm glad I didn't notice while I was up on the wall. wall as well. And then I say I don't look at the comments, and then I'm reading the comments because I want to make sure we're not having tech issues. So I'm going to continue on with our announcements as I like to. We have coming up very soon something I'm very excited about, the long arm training event put on by Handy Quilter here in Texas, and that will be October 16th through 18th, and we have 3 full days of classes, and all of the information is up on our website, and that website is stitchinheaven.com. And also want to bring you up to speed here. We just had, okay, good here, good, okay, perfect, thank you everybody, but Andrew, thanks Andrew. At any rate, so a couple fun videos coming up. Last week on Wednesday, we always post a tutorial. So we are on month number 7 of the Arabella block of the month. It was kind of a workshop week or a workshop month where we're building out some of the stuff we needed and to continue on. Now Arabella is pretty cool. So we have there's the picture of the full quilt. We have just decided and started taking registrations for January 2025. So this is page 2 of our block of the month page on stitchinheaven.com. And you can see there in the bottom corner that Arabella is starting up again. Pretty great. And the videos will continue next year. So you can do the block of the month sew along month by month with me if you would like to, because those videos have already been created, or you can grab a kit or somehow and just binge watch, or you can finish up this year's next year because those videos will be out there. And what I'm really getting to is, of course, Epic. Several of you were asking about the quilt, the big giant quilt that was behind me. Well, why do I do this? Why do I pretend like it's not right across the room? Only, I guess, because of the cords and the technical issues that are about to happen. Forgive me now. But yes, I had this giant quilt, Epic Block of the Month by Charisma Horton. This was on display behind me last week, right? It's so large that I really have to put it up nice. And I will be doing that soon as we prepare those videos. So yes, those videos are coming up. And we'll be starting that at Stitchin Heaven in January as well. This was really fun. If you were nervous on the first video, Nancy, here you go. Hello quilt makers, I'm Rob Appell from Stitchin Heaven out in Quitman, Texas, and I am super excited to invite you all to join me for this quilt block of the month that is going to be of epic proportion. That's right, starting January 2025, we will start sending you all the pattern pages you need for Epic, this awesome 12-month block of the month program designed by my dear friend Charisma Horton. Even better, it uses all of my new and newer World's fabrics by Benartex. Plus, I'm creating an entire video series where I will teach you each month how to make the blocks you need to put together this incredible quilt. Make sure you sign up today for Epic. Right, isn't that going to be fun? So yes, please join me. Sign up right away for the pre-cut Epic. I mean, that's going to be epic, right? And I gotta get a hold. I was showing my buddy Andrew the skateboard, my double, it was this weird looking skateboard way back when, and it was called Epic Skateboards with 2 P's in it. So anyways, I still got to find an old version of that. It's going to be amazing. And as we're moving through here, let's talk about somebody else's quilt for a moment. So hey, Patty sent in this super cool quilt. So thank you, Patty. I got a couple photos throughout the week. So encouraging you all to send in your quilts. And all of a sudden, I'm forgetting the name. I know it's a Judy Niemeyer project, and oh, I'm forgetting what name it is. So if you're watching right now, Patty, let me move your name. Patty, please put in the name of this project again. I know you wrote it to me. I want to say it's like a Heritage Star or something. I'm so sorry, I've forgotten. Here it is with the borders, folks. It's just really coming along sharp, and I'm sure that that is very exciting, all that work included there. And then I've got another quilt I'm going to share here. And this one here is from Carly. Thank you, Carly, for sending this in. And this is a really fun, beautiful hexie quilt too, if I know what I'm looking at. This one was sent in based on the inspiration from the Kaleidoscope or the One Block Wonder or the Stack and Wax style projects I was doing before. So that was really cool, and I'm glad to have that out there. And thank you again for sending in those. If you would like to see your quilt with me here on our show and tell, please just send me an email with your quilt, Rob at stitchinheaven.com. And folks, that does not include if you post your photos on our Facebook page, right? So just because you put your photo here does not mean that I'm going to steal it and put it here with us today. You need to send me an email. That way I feel like I have your permission to post it here on the video. So all of you that were all of you that were posting your awesome projects from the retreat that happened a couple of weeks ago, if you want everyone else to see those, please send them to me. You have the email address. Come on, gang. And speaking of the gang, there they are. We had a great retreat last week, and next week on Wednesday will be the awesome recap video, and you can participate in some of the shenanigans and all the fun we were having there. So make sure you don't miss out on that. That's coming up next week as well. Excuse me. I'm also trying to read along in the comments, even though I said I would not. And I want to make sure I haven't missed any of the other announcements. I have some announcements and some of the information about the quilt on the wall built into today's grateful list. So I do think I'm going to dive into that real quick. I do want to make sure I didn't forget anything. So here we go. Today's grateful list, encouraging all of you to remember daily what you're grateful for out there. It's part of the wellness and so well. And funny enough, do we talk about this right now? I guess maybe we do. Yeah, well, we're going to start with last week's live. It's a short one. And what was pretty fun is, these live videos are as important to me as they are to all of you. And I so appreciate you following along and commenting and supporting each other. It's really great to see you all involved here, and it means the world to me. And when I say to me, I really mean my friends. And when I say my friends, I really mean all those crazies in that picture. Let me see if I can bring it up again, because a lot of these folks are the folks I refer to as the all-stars that are out there. And these are folks that really work together and sew together and play together very, very well. And so at any rate, it's just important to me that we're all thinking about our wellness. As a matter of fact, today I was just at my annual checkup at the doctor's office. And as I was sitting there, I had already had a conversation with the folks, the person, the gal who checks me in, and we were having a nice conversation. And I just see the need for mental health. We were talking about that. She was asking if everything was okay. As I was checking in, I said, yes, I think mental health is most important. Because it's kind of like I said, that's kind of like the factory workers. You can't get the rest of your body cells to work correctly if your outline's not correct, right? And so anyways, next thing that happened is this gentleman walked in, was just looking for another doctor to visit with, but his concern was just wanting somebody he could really talk to, really communicate with, somebody that it wasn't actually talking to through a screen. So I just realized so often that now we've been able to utilize technology in a positive way this way. Let's not forget about those in our direct surroundings, those direct community that really need us to physically touch them, shake their hand, give them a hug, congratulate them, hand them the newspaper, whatever it is, and make that contact. This gentleman was just really reaching out for a doctor that would listen and not type, and an office that would hear what he was asking about. And it was a very interesting thing. So anyways, the receptionist and I had a wink after that, because his demeanor at first wasn't casual, and it put me on end a little bit, and I was watching body language and stuff. So at any rate, I was blessed to be there, and just made me remember so much about the mental health situation, which unfortunately and or fortunately brings me to legends. So folks, legends, in the last few weeks, 2 weeks probably, I have become aware of several famous quilt makers who have passed. And so I want to pay a little tribute to them. And I know that I'm actually missing a couple because I didn't know everybody that had been mentioned through social media. So at any rate, first of all, I got a phone call from our fearless leader, Deb Luttrell, mentioning to me that one of our friends, Daniela Stout, had passed away. I was blessed to work with Daniela up at Sisters, Oregon several years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years back. And she's just a wonderful teacher. She makes these wonderful patchwork quilts. This is just a quick search. This is just the first page of all of the patterns that Daniela has contributed to our industry. And I just thought that was super cool to see her. She's taught on our quilt cruises. She's done several things, and I've interacted with her personally. If I understand correctly, it was cancer that she lost the battle to. And so Daniela's family, just thinking of you out there. It was a blessing to get to meet Daniela. This one's a tough one for me, folks. Jeremy Swain out of Bakersfield, owner of the Thimbletown Quilt Shop, personal friend of mine. We went out and did a big party together. You can see all those folks behind us. That's him and myself in a picture a couple of years ago. We did a couple of tech things. Look at how dazed and confused I look while we're trying to talk to each other again through the camera. Jeremy and I did a couple things to help bring education into video, and here he is teaching. And it's a hard loss for me to hear about, and mostly because if I understand the story correctly, Jeremy did take his own life, and if I understand the dates correctly, I had thought of him either the day of or the day before, and I did not reach out. I'm going to be teaching in Bakersfield in a few weeks, and I was like, oh, I should reach out to Jeremy and see if he wants to hang out, catch a burrito or something together. And folks, I did not. And so let me take this moment to remind myself in front of all of us that when you have those gut instincts about people in your lives that you need to remember, please do. Just don't let it slip, okay? Let me just say that and move on, if I may, because the other legend I would like to really honor right now is Freddie Moran. Freddie Moran is a quilt making legend, folks. I forget exactly how old. I believe maybe 94 years old. She passed away. I've known her on and off for several years, at least a decade or more. Here's a wonderful picture of Freddie in front of one of her fantastic quilts. She's really known for a lot of her wild use of colors, black and whites together, and for a long time she was doing these Freddie's Houses quilts. When I met Freddie, I believe this was with the presentation she was doing, quilts about herself. She's just a great gal, and I love those giant red glasses she would always wear. So recently I did something with Alex Anderson, a friend of mine, and she supplied this picture that was taken at Freddie's birthday party. I think her colleague Shelly took it. Here is Alex and Freddie together. And so yesterday I took that time after finding out about Jeremy to reach out to Alex and just see how Alex was doing in person, just to say, hey friend, I missed a phone call already this week. I just want to see, I know you've lost a dear close friend to you. So anyways, I'd like to share with you if I can get some of the details. Alex, forgive me if I've gotten any of them wrong, but she told me that Freddie passed in the most beautiful way. So she'd gone out and gotten her nails done, I believe that day or the day before. She took her time to have, I think, coffee with one of her friends. She actually called many of her quilting colleagues and just design buddies and lifelong friends, and told them that Freddie loved them, and apparently curled up in her chair and passed. And so really a cool example of, I guess, if you think of all three of the individuals, the lifelong legends that we can bring forward in all of the different things we do. Of course, I consider myself hugely blessed to have an audience and a studio and a sewing machine and fabric and all of these things to do stuff with, and a way to try to keep my message out there. And again, so much focus on mental health as I struggle with sometimes my depression and my anxiety. And so at any rate, I just, as I kind of feel like I'm having a hard time landing the aircraft at the moment, just want to thank all of those legends that we lost this last week or weeks for the creative process they brought to all of us, all of the lessons they taught all of us, and the reminder that we need to push on. We need to continue supporting each other and asking for help when it's necessary. So at any rate, let's go back to the grateful list if we can, folks. And I've got a fun little follow-up from that, which is the road trip prep. And that is the quilt that we now see on the wall. And I didn't realize that really what I was doing this week was processing some of my sadness, the sadness of losing some of those friends, for not reaching out when I should have. And so this here, folks, is a grandmother's flower garden quilt. The outside edges where you see the pins are not sewn in. All of this is sewn in, and I thought it would be really fun. I get to go on a road trip. I'll be teaching next week up in Oregon on Wednesday and Thursday. So if you're up in the Salem area and you're part of that guild up there, make sure you look me up. And so at any rate, let's go to a little bit of the overhead. You can see what I've been doing. I've been taking actually fusible interfacing and using this. I'm not a paper piecer, folks. And so I've also put a couple photographs together. I had always thought that the the New Worlds fabrics I designed would work terrifically if they were fussy cut for hexagons. So you can see me experimenting with some little paper windows I made of different sizes. And then you can see how the designs really started to work. Sometimes it's easier for me to show you a still than it is easier to show you in video. Here you can see in that like flower itself, there is the fusible stabilizer or interfacing that is still left on the back of it. And that way I don't have paper to tear out. Another thing with the way I designed the fabrics originally with this kind of concept in mind, even though I'm not a paper piecer, is I was wondering if I could use my background fabrics with the right sizes to lay other hexagons on top of, so I would actually not have to do all of the piecing. I could top stitch down the dark blue in the center onto a background which would then be like the greens in between. If you look really close here, you can see how the three-dimensional piece actually fits right back in on top of the exact repeats. And so that became super, super fun. And I have not stopped working on this, folks, all week. I've been playing and cutting slowly, and that's part of my healing and or processing process is, you know, taking the time to slowly work and iron these pieces together. Let me see if I can show you a little bit just for fun how exciting this is for me. Let's go to the overhead real quick. And then, so here was the example piece. Later in my drawer, I found this template that was actually a keychain that I got. I only have the one. So now everything is this size, right? Because I have a template. I knew I had, I just couldn't find it. It took me forever to find it. So these ones were a little bigger, so these won't be in the video. And I'm making a video about this next week, and I'm gonna make it while I'm camping. So I wanted something that would be like hand work, but then I decided to up it to a machine. So here you go. You can see how the repeats, even in the different colors, all play back together super cool. And then you can see how a smaller piece can actually be top stitched onto a background to let that come through as well. So at any rate, you know, as you have, you can still see that this is totally pliable. There's no, I'm right next to my microphone, right? There's no noise. This will all be stitched down. But because I used the bumpy sides here, hey, can you tell I'm practicing my lesson for next week? I just ironed over, right? So what you did is this interfacing has got a rough side, and from everybody last week, remember, the rough side is the glue side. Watch, I know I've got a whole bunch of folks that are just saying it with me now. The rough side is the glue side. The rough side is the glue side, right? So that rough side was actually up on the back side of my fabric so I could press over the edges and, you know, really nice and easy. And then I'm actually able to stitch these bad boys together by going right sides together, right? And instead of whip stitching with them, which we still could do for traditional English paper piecing, I can go to my little machine over here, which is perfect for stitching these together. Now, as I've been working through this big one on the wall, I will be the first to point out not every piece of patchwork looks great. There's some of these spots in here that are pretty gnarly. As a matter of fact, let's go real quick here to this camera. And you can see there's some creases and puckers and whatnot. There's where my finger was right there. You can see how cool the patchworks look. And if I can show you slowly where the purple meets the orange, the crispness of the seams there. What I've learned to do as I work on this project, right, is I have learned different techniques for how to press the back most efficiently and different techniques on how to sew them together. At first, I was trying to sew these by kind of working my way through with a needle down and pivot like I teach in my Super 60 class. But by the time I got over here, I realized it was better to come down, stop, cut thread, physically relocate, and then come down and stop, kind of like more of a traditional Y seam. Super easy and way faster, folks. I did all of that sewing in an afternoon than I think it would be if we were doing it by hand. So at any rate, I'm pretty dang excited about the way that this is all coming together and pretty pumped up about putting it. And I think it will be really fun because I'm treating myself to a night. I'm going to drive to Oregon. It takes me almost as long to fly because I go out of a small airport and I love the Pacific Northwest. So I'm going to take the time to drive up to Oregon, have a great road trip that way, and then camp out, and either in the morning or night, depending on what time I actually get there, I will take the time. You know, my car is set up so that I can use my sewing machine in the back of the vehicle off of a solar panel. This is just a battery light here, and the machine runs off of my battery system out of my vehicle. So I will be able to do my sewing and filming and everything while I'm in the back country next week. I think that'll be really fun. Of course, I could be sewing it at home. I have been sewing it at home, but I really want to do another video outdoors because I love the outdoors videos, and I hope you do too. So you can let me know if you think that the outdoors videos are fun. That's something that I would like to do more of. All right, I'm sure I've got more things to say. I think I might have even left off in the middle of the grateful list, folks. I think we have one more. Oh, that's right, it was. The fourth one was connections. And I kind of got a little sidetracked on there, but I think it's pretty obvious when I'm talking about connections. Again, I've got a lot of screens today. So connections brings me back to that silly group of folks, those folks that I love so much from last week's retreat. And inviting you all to join us at retreats or join us for your guild, getting out there and connecting. I want to congratulate next week with Tina has got an awesome Mariner's Compass retreat coming up, which is focusing on a bunch of the QuiltWorks projects. Tina is a family member, an employee of Stitchin Heaven, but she's also a QuiltWorks certified instructor. And I haven't really pointed out, folks, that on our website, each month we are now offering the technique of the month, and Tina's doing a lot of work with that, and she really loves her quilt work projects, and those are crazy paper piecing. So maybe once I get through this grandfather's flower garden, then maybe I'll actually be willing to try some crazier paper piecing. At any rate, something to let you know about, I will be on site October 10th through 13th out in Quitman, Texas. We're doing Camp Quilt Show. I think there's a few spots left where you could also join a community, get together and have some great fellowship with quilters, even enter your quilt in the outdoor quilt show for the day, get a fun coupon or a prize or a snow cone or something. And, you know, just a great time to be a part of what we're doing out there. And because we have the awesome retreat center, we're also doing more and more retreats. So check our website out, stitchinheaven.com, constantly. We've just added in Camp New Year, and several of my friends are going to come back for that, folks. So if you would like to hang out with some of the people I'm always talking about, Camp New Year, which is obviously the New Year's Day this year coming up in Quitman, Texas, would be something you really want to consider signing up for. If you have any of those questions, you can always reach out to the team in Texas, info@stitchinheaven.com. Of course, you can leave me a question or comment, rob@stitchinheaven.com. And I believe I've pretty much wrapped up the show for the day. I don't want to spoil all how this is going to go with my sewing because I need to be able to have it for the tutorial next week or 2 weeks from now. Anyways, let me see what's going on. I see something about needing to fix glitching. I'm going to check the comments real quick here, and if you have a question that you would love answered in today's show, maybe even type it again as I go back up to the top. There's been a lot of, and I see a lot of condolences. Thank you very much, folks. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. It sounds like that you were all having some technical difficulties for a little while. I'm wondering if it's one of the different cameras I'm using. I'll go back and watch the video and see if it breaks up while I'm using the side camera or something. I have 3 cameras going. Okay, let me see if I can find any more questions out there. Oh, thank you for signing up for Epic Block of the Month. It's going to be great. Yeah, it uses all of my fabrics. Oh, I see. Combat Quilter started something about me sleeping with a nightlight. That's just so I can sneak over and turn off his white noise machine in the middle of the night so he has to listen to my snoring more. All right. I'm loving the new hexagon project again, folks. And what I guess I was starting to really mention, and we'll just kind of wrap that up on today. And yes, I did fussy cut all those blocks, Nancy, but that's what the fabric is for. And that's what it's not hard to do because the fabric is so close together. But yeah, that's what I wanted to try. That's partly what the design concept was about when I created the new and newer worlds. And I do see now I'm watching a screen across the room. It does seem to be glitching as well a little bit. I'm sorry, folks. I don't have much I know how to do about that. I've got my Wi-Fi going and everything else. So again, I apologize. And maybe it's just the technology out there. Everything else was fairly smooth, so I apologize. Maybe the rerun will be better without the glitches. I certainly hope so. Folks, have yourselves a great weekend. I won't make you suffer through any more tech problems. I love you all.